Hello, I'm Reverend Katie Kinnison, the current interim chaplain at Friendship Village. And I am happy to get to come to you this way so that you can start to get to know me a little bit and I can offer you some things that I'm thinking about these days. The sermon this coming Sunday is about brazen acts of beauty. It's inspired by a story that you probably all know. It shows up in each one of the four Gospels. Not a lot of stories show up in all four. I'm going to read to you now that Gospel that we'll be looking at today to give you a chance to start pondering it, to be listening for ways that it reverberates in your life. And then I want to talk to you a little bit about beauty and its importance in our life, its effect upon us. This is from the Gospel according to John, the 12th chapter, verses 1 through 8. 6 days before the Passover, Jesus came to Bethany, the home of Lazarus, whom he had raised from the dead. There they gave a dinner for him. Martha served, and Lazarus was one of those at the table with him. Mary took a pound of costly perfume made of pure nard, anointed Jesus's feet, and wiped them with her hair. The house was filled with the fragrance of the perfume. But Judas Iscariot, one of his disciples, the one who was about to betray Jesus, said, "Why was this perfume not sold for 300 denarii and the money given to the poor?" He said this not because he cared about the poor, but because he was a thief. He kept the common purse and used to steal what was put into it. Jesus said, "Leave her alone. She bought it so that she might keep it for the day of my burial. You always have the poor with you, but you do not always have me." The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. This is a beautiful act that Mary does. It smells beautiful. The loving care in it is beautiful. Just thinking about Mary kneeling at the feet of the one who rose her brother from the dead and pouring this perfume on those feet and wiping it away with her hair as an act of love, beautiful, brazen love. I don't know that we think a whole lot about beauty these days, so let's just start there for our reflection tonight. What place does beauty have in your life? There are all kinds of ways into thinking about beauty, art, literature, your grandchildren, and nature. What I'd like to do now is to show you some of the pictures that I've taken as I've walked the metro parks during this pandemic. Don't worry, it's just a few. You're not stuck in some endless slideshow. But I'm going to share my screen now with you and invite you into pondering some beauty and see what effect it has upon your soul. John Calvin wrote that we may enjoy the sight of God, we must first cast our eyes upon the very beautiful fabric of the world in which the Holy One wishes to be seen by us. When we ponder the beauty of the world around us and the people in it, are we perhaps glimpsing the very beauty of God? Perhaps we were made for a time such as this. The world is a hard place these days. We carry a heaviness around with us, whether it's lingering pandemic worries and cares or effects of illness, or it's what's happening in the Ukraine, or in so many places around the world. These days have been hard, but perhaps we were made for them. Perhaps we have something within us that we can bring to bear upon living in this time that can lighten the load for each other, bring us hope, and even perhaps point to a way forward, a way through. Beauty, one of the things that beauty does for me is to lead me into awe, that reverent, mind-blown, expectant, radically open space. I read an article recently about the science of awe, and I want to share some of it with you. Awe-inspiring experiences, with their sense of grandeur, wonder, and amazement, may confound the expectations we have about the way the world works, creating a little earthquake in the mind that causes the brain to reassess its assumptions and to pay more attention to what is actually in front of it. Awe's most transformative effects may concern the way we view ourselves. When we feel wonder at something truly incredible and grand, we perceive ourselves as smaller and less significant in relation to the rest of the world. One consequence of this is greater altruism. When I'm less focused on myself, on my own goals and needs and thoughts in my head, I have more bandwidth to notice you and what you may be experiencing. Perhaps the awe that must have overwhelmed Mary when Lazarus came alive from that tomb, perhaps that awe opened up something in her that allowed her to see Jesus and what he was experiencing more intimately, more profoundly, with great love. When you are in the presence of something vast and indescribable, you feel smaller, and so does your negative chatter. Perhaps beauty that leads us into awe can remove us from everything from grumbling to anxiety to despair. I want to share with you this poem by Mary Oliver, the poetess of nature. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the grasshopper? This grasshopper, I mean, the one who has flung herself out of the grass, the one who is eating sugar out of my hand, who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down, who is gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I have been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Brazen beauty, acts of great love, facing the truth of where we are squarely in the eye, having the courage to stand before it and to know that darkness and fear and trouble is never the whole story. That when we can bring love, the beauty and power of love into this moment, this fear, this reality, we begin to shift it just a little, to make a space within it in which more is possible, in which we will have the strength to stand and to allow the power of love in the universe to flow through us, blessing others. I'm just beginning my work and figuring out what words will come out of my mouth on Sunday morning. But I invite you to think about this story, to ponder the role of beauty in your life, and to go find some, to revel in it. For beauty heals us and opens up in us awe and a space we desperately need to live and move in love. Blessings to you all. I'll see you Sunday.